Tonight was the first SmackDown coming out of the Royal Rumble. We are now officially on the road to the Elimination Chamber. First SmackDown coming off that tremendous closing segment that we had on Monday night with Roman Reigns and CM Punk, which left Drew McIntyre reeling because they basically ganged up on him. Boy, did they bury him 6 feet beneath the earth. So the number one goal coming into tonight's show had to be Drew McIntyre giving some sort of receipt for what happened on Monday. I don't know if he was going to be able to top what we saw on Monday night, but he at least had to address it. Because if you send him out there and don't give him time with a live mic to address what was said about him, it would have made him look like just the biggest fool. And he did get some mic time tonight. He did speak to what Roman Reigns and CM Punk had to say about him on Monday. And look, it wasn't the segment that we had on Raw. And I wouldn't say there were any real stiff burns in the way that, those guys were lobbing bombs on Monday night. It was nothing like that. But I thought, what he said tonight, it was more about reinforcing the legacy of the title that he currently holds and pointing out the legacy and the importance and the value in that championship, the history of that championship, and basically saying how the rest of the SmackDown roster, they saw and heard what happened on Monday night. It should be lighting a fire under their ass right now. He was basically trying to be the face, the cheerleader of SmackDown. Realistically, there's nothing that Drew McIntyre can do or say or really a match that they can make for WrestleMania that is going to be bigger than the one that they already made official on Monday night. We already know what the main event, the big main event they're going to push this year for WrestleMania is. It's Roman Reigns and CM Punk. I don't see any combination of superstars. I don't see any match they could put together for the WWE title that is going to be bigger than what we saw on Monday. So to that extent, I thought he came out, he addressed it, he said what had to be said. But there was no way he was going to be able to top what Roman and Punk did on Monday. But he only got the words out in his promo after being attacked twice on this show. It took him a few times before he finally had the chance to go out there and say what needed to be said. First, he gets jumped by Cody Raheem Rhodes. It's the best part of the entire show. Cody Raheem Rhodes, and then later on, Jacob Fatu also jumped him. Both men were basically sent away out of the building so Drew could finally cut his promo later in the show. Cody Raheem Rhodes. We had our first Elimination Chamber qualifying matches tonight as well. We had one for the women. We had one for the men. Randy Orton and Tiffany Stratton. They are going to the Elimination Chamber in their respective match. Not the same match. That would be different. But they are going to their respective matches at the Chamber, so that we know. And there is a match, a qualifying match that they have made official for next week's show that is actually pretty damn big. And it's pretty damn surprising, considering the names that are in it. If the idea is that only one of them can move on to the Chamber and the other two are shit out of luck. Kind of surprised that they're putting all three of these guys in the same match together next week. And I'll tell you what that is a little bit later on, but it is a big match. Speaking of big, Obafemi, we saw him on Monday night. He made short work of the War Raiders, Viking Raiders. What are they called? Are they the War Raiders? They're the War Raiders. Why do I still think they're called the Viking Raiders? Why does it even matter? I mean, I don't even know if they'll have a job in a few weeks, the way they were treated on Monday. He made short work of them. I don't think that was an official match. Tonight he had an official match on SmackDown. It didn't go very long. It was him and Kit Wilson. Boy, Kit Wilson, man, it was close. He had him on the ropes. He was this close from pulling out the win over Obafemi. It didn't work out, though. Obafemi is still unsigned. He is still being courted by both general managers. I'll tell you one name we did not see or hear about tonight. Conspicuous by his absence, no Royce Keys. We saw the debut of Powerhouse Hobbs at the Royal Rumble. I do think that ultimately he will land on SmackDown. He was nowhere to be found on the show tonight, so it remains to be seen if he's even going to be on the main roster. They could still potentially start him out in NXT. It is still possible. I think that would be a mistake. But yeah, he was noticeably absent from tonight's show. I thought on the whole, it was a solid show overall. It definitely dragged in parts. I mean, there was a Shinsuke Nakamura Tonga match that, oh my God. There was also a qualifying match on the women's side, the one that Tiffany qualified in. That was not that great. Not that great. But the rest of the wrestling on the show was at least decent. I thought they at least pushed things forward as far as the Elimination Chamber. We got a couple of good promo segments. So again, it was solid on the whole. One big difference, hot crowd in Charlotte. Not so much in Philadelphia on Monday. Hot crowd tonight in Charlotte. That does make a difference. This is your Friday night SmackDown review here as we close out another week. It is Friday night, February 6th, 2026. I am the Solomonster. Thank you for hanging out with me. Like and subscribe. Super chats are open. I will be reading your messages a little bit later on, and we are going to find out right now how many likes we need to hit the goal for our Be the Booker segment. So let's find out. I'm not going to waste any time here. Take this bad boy for a spin. How many likes do we need? 450. So that is the magic number, 450 likes. If we hit that number during the stream, we will do Be the Booker later on. So get those likes up. Let's get right into this here because the show tonight opened with the WWE Champion, Drew McIntyre, out to the ring first after his win over Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble. A mostly one-sided win. Again, I look back on that title match in Riyadh, and honestly, I did not come away from that match with some great burning desire to see Sami Zayn get another opportunity at the WWE title. It's going to take some work, I think, to at least get this guy excited to see that match again because Drew beat him. I mean, it was, a pretty good drubbing, and it was not a terribly exciting match. It really didn't have a lot of heat. Drew won, and now it's time to move on. And Drew, of course, was smug as can be as he was making his way out. Not only did he beat Sami Zayn at the Royal Rumble, he had a hand in eliminating Cody Rhodes from the Royal Rumble match. So again, he was looking quite smug, which ended up being his downfall. Because as he was making his way out, he got jumped by a very angry Cody Rhodes during his entrance. And he beat him up around ringside until Drew ran away. Officials poured out to keep Cody from him. So Cody got into the ring. And he took his jacket off, whatever it was he was wearing. He got a microphone. He was all fired up, as he should be. I mean, look at what happened to him at the Royal Rumble. I'd be fucking pissed. I would be wrecking shop left and right if I were Cody Rhodes. So this is the Cody I was hoping to see here on this show. Gets on the mic. He goes, yeah, things will never be the same again. He goes, for the first time, he can't wait, or he can't point, rather, to the WrestleMania sign. Speaking of that sign, he watched CM Punk and Roman Reigns not just declare their hatred for each other, but declare their championship match. And he was excited. But why, when this amazing moment is over, is his name the first name that comes out of their mouth? It's simple. It's because people know what WrestleMania means to him and what he means to WrestleMania. But he heard it was going to be a you-know-what measuring contest. Couldn't say the words. He heard it was going to be a you-know-what measuring contest. Well, they're both glad. This was great. They're both glad that he's not in it because he didn't get the nickname Raheem for no reason. And I'm like, whoa, okay. Now we've jumped from social media to television here. Cody Raheem Rhodes. And this got let me tell you the pop that this line got. If you don't think people didn't know what he was talking about, this got one of the biggest pops of the entire show. So the crowd went wild for that line. And he goes, what do you want to talk about? Charlotte, North Carolina. He goes, he was born in this city, right down the street, Presbyterian Hospital. So imagine his shame when he returned to the city that the story's first page was written on empty-handed. Drew McIntyre wasn't mad that he was WWE champion. He was mad that Cody was. So don't worry, because Cody's shame and discomfort, he says, becomes Drew's downfall. Drew McIntyre, don't worry about a thing, because you won't make it to WrestleMania. That Raheem line Holy shit. Holy shit. Already the line of the year in any wrestling promo. Right? And I know it's only February. We still have a ways to go. And we had that great segment that closed Raw on Monday night. Again, there were bombs that they were throwing at each other back and forth. That right there, best line in a promo so far in 2026. If you know, you know. And a great fire from Cody here. Exactly what this needed to be after the way he was eliminated from the Royal Rumble. It couldn't be any other way. Can't come out with a smile on your face going, whoa. You can't come to the ring with a smile on your face and go, Charlotte, what do you want to talk about? Right? No, you're this close to WrestleMania. You just got fucked out of the Royal Rumble. You need to be pissed. You need to be upset. You need to want to rip this guy's head off his shoulders. So I like the way that they started the show. I like the way they started the show on Monday with Braun Breaker, the cold open, because he also got screwed out of the Royal Rumble. And then it was all downhill from there, of course. But they had the right idea with him coming out and just being an absolute madman. So at least they got that right. Now, after a break, Cody was in the back with Nick Aldis. They were still trying to calm him down. And he was looking for Drew. But right now, there's one way to make that happen, said Aldis, which is winning the Elimination Chamber in your qualifying match next week. And Cody agreed, and he goes, I'll see you next week in Dallas. So Cody is going to be in an Elimination Chamber match next week, qualifier. I will tell you what that match is here in a little bit, because it's a big one. After this, we had Rhea Ripley and Io Sky over from Raw to defend their women's tag team titles against the number one contenders, the Women's United States Champion Giulia and Kiana James. So Ripley and James, they started things off here. Giulia stepped in, but she didn't want to face Rhea. She wanted Io. And I said, yes, that's what I would like to see. So Rhea tagged Io into the ring, and we got some Joshi action here early in this match. Giulia stomped at Io's head, mocked her taunt, got some heat for that. Sky dodged an attempted a throw by Giulia, hit her with a great shotgun dropkick. Kiana involved herself. She draped Io throat first over the top rope, and the heels got the heat on Io for a little while after that. Giulia blasted Io with a missile dropkick of her own. They were really milking the potential hot tag here. And this is the formula now that they generally follow in these Rhea Ripley, Io Sky tag matches. And it's great because it always works. And people are just dying to see Rhea Ripley make the hot tag. And when she does, they go crazy. So they were really taking their time with it and milking it here. She finally got it. Rhea cleaned house. Io did her, Io does this crazy dive out of the ring where she'll dive through the ropes and her body is like turning as she's flying. And I was worried like she's going to either take a header into the floor or over rotate or something. It's just so wild. So she did it here to Giulia outside the ring over by the announce desk. And she very nearly spiked herself right into the ground. Almost took that header that I talked about, but she was okay. Took out Giulia with it. Back inside, Kiana escaped a riptide attempt. She actually powerbombed Io right on top of Rhea, who was laid out on the mat. Giulia and Kiana, they hit a combination of their signature moves, the 401k, followed by the Arrivederci knee. Giulia covered. Rhea broke it up. Giulia attempted a Northern Lights bomb. Io, though, reversed it. Rhea got the blind tag. She headbutted Giulia. She hit Riptide. And you know what followed. Over the moonsault. And Io Sky gets the win to retain the titles for their team. This was fun. This was much improved from the three-way qualifying match, number one contenders match, whatever you want to call it, that we had previously, where Giulia and Kiana won the shot. That was not so good. But this was a fun match. And look, it helped that Rhea and Io are so over. So, of course, when they're out there, they're always getting a reaction. When Giulia's out there, as much as it pains me, she gets no reaction. So it was nice to actually have a crowd that was loud and invested and cared about what they were seeing here. Surprising, I will say, that they had Giulia take the losing fall and not Kiana, given that Giulia is the U.S. champion. I don't know what the significance of that might be. But look, as fun as it is to watch Rhea and Io do their thing together as a team, and as great as they are as a team, I'm still pulling for them to drop those titles as soon as possible because we are heading into WrestleMania. We are a little over 2 months away. And to me, that show, as big as it is, they need to be involved in something bigger. They need to be involved in something better, even if it's against each other. Got the Bellas are looming, right? There are other teams that could be defending those tag team titles against Nikki and Brie. It does not need to be Rhea and Io. So hopefully those belts will find their way around someone else's waist very soon. But this ended up being the best match on the show, I thought. Ilya Dragunov was backstage. He was on his way out to the ring. He was in his robe and everything. He was going to accept the U.S. title open challenge. And he was interrupted by The Miz, who claimed, too bad, I already talked to Nick Aldis earlier, and I'm getting the shot tonight. So Carmelo Hayes showed up, said that Ilya deserved a shot. You don't. But since you went and made the match, I'm not going to give you a title shot. But if it's a match that you want, then it's a match that you'll get. Miz told him, non-title, huh? Well, you better not miss. And I'm just watching this and I'm going, well, of course, Miz does not need a championship match because he does not deserve a championship match. And do you know the last time that The Miz won a singles match on TV was 2 years ago, almost to the day. 2 years ago. On Raw, he beat JD McDonough. You would have to go back 2 years to find a match that this man won. Open challenge or no open challenge. He should not be getting a championship match on TV. Carmelo Hayes is 100% right. So this was non-title between them. If you can believe it, for as long as these two guys were together, right? They were friends, they were partners, then they broke up. All of this happened months ago. This was the first match between them. We never got a singles match between Carmelo Hayes and The Miz until tonight. Okay, at least it's fresh. I feel like they've been teasing this for the longest time. We haven't gotten it, so now we're finally getting it. Late in the match, Hayes connected with a La Mystica on Miz, which sent him out to the floor. Miz rolled outside, and Melo, he did a dive out over the top rope. Did not have the best landing. He landed, it looked like right on his lower back. And he popped up, and he was like, and even on commentary, I think Wade Barrett pointed the landing out. But Miz took the brunt of it, nonetheless. So he put Miz back inside. He went up top. He came off with a frog splash. Miz got the knees up, though, and he got cradled, only for 2. Skull-crushing finale attempt was avoided. Melo got a super kick for a 2 count. Miz hit a rebound powerbomb. So he bounced him off the top rope and then hit a sit-out powerbomb for a near fall. Miz tried again for a skull-crushing finale, and at first it looked like he got it. Melo actually rolled through. This was smooth. He rolled right through the skull-crushing finale and then caught him with a first 48. And he won with it. He won with the code breaker. Didn't even need to go up for the nothing but net. I mean, it's The Miz, so of course. So Carmelo Hayes wins. I have to say, that was actually pretty good. Actually a pretty good match. The finishing sequence was very smooth, the way that Melo rolled through and then went from there. So I like that. I still cannot believe it took this long for us to get this match, but at least now we got it and they can get it out of the way. We can move on to getting Dragunov and Hayes back in the ring together yet again. It was great the first time. Or did it happen twice? Might have happened twice, actually. So I'm looking forward to seeing 2 times, 3 times. What does it matter? It's a match I'm looking forward to seeing again. Kathy Kelly interviewed Tiffany Stratton backstage and asked how she plans to refocus on getting back her women's championship after coming this close to winning the Women's Royal Rumble. Tiffany said that her sights are set on the Elimination Chamber. Chelsea Green and Alba Fire interrupted the promo here. Chelsea was slated for a chamber qualifier later in the show with Tiffany and Lash Legend. She said that the only person in this company newsworthy was her. And Tiffany said that Chelsea's WrestleMania dreams would be dead after tonight. Well, especially if Michael Hayes gets his way. OMG, Solo liked a Miz match. It was a good match. I'm giving the man his flowers. It was a good match. He's a fucking loser. That's all. I'm just pointing out facts here. Tell me when I'm telling lies. The man has not won a match on TV in 2 years. But they had a good match. I enjoyed it. We got a Wyatt 6 video that interrupted as Bo Dallas talked about Solo Sikoa stealing the lantern. My God, this fucking lantern. You know, I think that what we should do, everybody watching this right now, we should all pitch in. I mean, we could do a GoFundMe or just, it doesn't even have to be a GoFundMe. We'll all pitch in and we're going to buy Bo a new lantern. How's that sound? Because I feel like if we buy him a new lantern, we can move beyond this story. He won't have to worry about the lantern that Solo took. I like that idea. I'm willing to do that. We'll crowdfund it. Bo said that Solo was scared of being left in the dark all by himself, which is why he stole the lantern, so he's afraid of the dark. Okay, so Solo Sikoa needs a nightlight. Is that the story here? Yes, we're going to crowdfund to get him a new lantern. Yes, a new battery-operated electric lantern. You got $2? Hey, look, every dollar counts. Anyway, he said that fear doesn't show up. Pretty fucking afraid of that. Holy shit. Kairi is still following Asuka back to the States. You know, I heard that Asuka was forcing Kairi to walk back to the States, all the way from Saudi Arabia. So Kairi is still in transit. She has not returned yet, but she's on her way. I don't know if she'll be back stateside on American soil in time for Raw this Monday, but from what I understand, Kairi is still walking. Anyway, you don't need me to finish this off. The video was what it was. He wants his lantern. He's very upset. But we didn't have to wait very long for that women's Elimination Chamber triple threat qualifier because we had Tiffany Stratton, we had Lash Legend, and we had Chelsea Green. Legend had a very good Royal Rumble this year. I pointed that out when I did my review. I was live with all of you, and I said they gave her the monster spa, which is what I figured she would be the one to get it this year in that match. She had 5 eliminations, more than anybody else in that match, and some big names were among those eliminations. Charlotte Flair, who was in the Rumble for like an hour. She was number 1. She eliminated Charlotte. She eliminated Jordan Grace, Io Sky, the Bella Twins, who... especially Brie, super over in Saudi. So it was a good night for Lash Legend last Saturday. Tonight was not a great night for Lash Legend. She did not look very good here in this match. She looked lost a few different times. There were some rough spots, and not just her, Tiffany Stratton too. Both of them. Just not great. And Chelsea Green was the one who was the most over here in Charlotte tonight. Charlotte was not on the show in Charlotte, by the way. Charlotte or Alexa, neither of them were on the show tonight. But Chelsea Green was actually getting chants of Chelsea during this match. Like, the fans really wanted her to win this match. Michael Hayes must have been throwing furniture backstage. He must have been so upset. Why aren't they chanting Tiffy, Tiffy? They're chanting Chelsea, Chelsea. Actually, I wouldn't surprise me if he was in the back saying, what are they chanting? Oh, don't worry, they're chanting Tiffy, Tiffy. Boo earns, boo earns. Fucking idiot. So after a commercial break, Lash lifted Tiffany over her head, slammed her onto a prone Chelsea before splashing both women. She could not get the win off of this. Stratton caught Legend with a rough drop kick as she reversed an unpretty her attempt from Chelsea. Off the top, Stratton hit Green with a superplex. She rolled through into a Uranagi. Legend broke up the pin and tried for her Lash extension finish. I don't know what happened here. She didn't get the Lash extension, but as she and Tiffany were kind of jockeying for position here, I don't know what the fuck. I don't know what this was. It just looked like the two of them weren't on the same page. Legend hit Stratton with a buckle bomb, followed by a choke slam for a near fall. That looked good, at least. Meanwhile, Chelsea jumped from the top, and she was in one corner. The other two women were down in the other corner, but not in the corner, but they were sort of down, leaning back against the bottom rope. And Chelsea comes in with a coast-to-coast. And she kicks, I think it was Lash, into Tiffany. And then Tiffany rolled outside. So Chelsea covered Lash. And then Nia Jax, who was outside, pulled Chelsea out of the ring. And now Nia Jax, of course, trying to save the match for her partner here. Crowd is booing. We got a scuffle here. I can't even call it a scuffle, really. I mean, Alba Fire confronted Nia. She got knocked down. Alba Fire now is just, she's a total non-factor. I mean, at one time, this woman was a dominant force in NXT UK. NXT UK Women's Champion, I think, for a long time. And I don't even know who this woman is now. I don't even know who this person is. She's just a punchline on the show. But she gets knocked down here by Nia Jax. Things broke down. Chelsea and Tiffany, they heaved Lash over the timekeeper's barricade. Back inside, Chelsea attempted an unpretty her. It got reversed by Tiffany, who finished her off with the prettiest moonsault ever. And so Tiffany Stratton becomes the first person, male or female, I believe, to qualify for an Elimination Chamber match. She is officially in. This was not good. I did not think this match was very good. And they did cheer for Tiffany's win at the end. It's not like they were booing Tiffany. They just really were into Chelsea. And I think had Chelsea pulled off the win, and I wasn't expecting her to, but if she would have pulled off the win, it would have got a huge reaction because this was a very pro-Chelsea Green crowd here in Charlotte. And the only question is, are the right people listening? I don't know. Are they listening? You would think they would pay attention, and we'll see what happens next week in a different city, and then after that, and after that. But, you know, if there are fans out there who really like Chelsea and they want to see her doing more than what they have her doing, the best way to do that is to use your voice. You know, I mean, is it just an internet thing, or are there fans who go to these shows who genuinely like Chelsea Green and want to see her succeed and do more on the show? That's the question. But the best way to get their attention is going to be at the buildings using your voice. We'll see if these reactions continue. I'd love to see it, even though some people obviously wouldn't. I'd love to see it. In the back, Kathy Kelly was talking with Randy Orton. Randy was not happy about the Royal Rumble, but now he's focused on entering his 10th Elimination Chamber match. That experience will be to his advantage. And then here comes Aleister Black and Zelina. Black says that we just said goodbye to two of the greatest ever, but we're blessed to still have Randy, at least part of him. See you out there. This, by the way, is what they saved Aleister Black's return from, because he flew all the way to Saudi Arabia. He was supposed to be in the Royal Rumble. They decided not to include him in the Royal Rumble, with the idea that we'd like to just bring him back on SmackDown. Okay. Flew all the way out there, not to work, but okay. This was his big return. First appearance for him here since the ambulance match with Damian Priest. Kit Wilson, speaking of people who flew all the way to Saudi and weren't used, Kit Wilson was up next. Made his way to the ring, and he got ready to teach us a lesson in toxic masculinity. And he talked about being at the Royal Rumble last week and how it disgusted him, called everyone in the Rumble toxic, stated that they didn't want him in the Rumble because of what he represents. Is that true? Was he shooting here? They didn't want him in the Royal Rumble? Who is this they? So he said they didn't want him in the Rumble because of what he represents. He called himself a man who moisturizes and a man who listens. Do you hear that, ladies? I, too, am a man who moisturizes and a man who listens. I'm just saying. as well as a man who moves his hips in a particular way. Well, that's not me. I don't do that. So he started moving his hips. Wilson called the crowd toxic. He challenged anyone who was in the Rumble to come out and face him right now to prove themselves. And you can see people standing up in the background. I think they kind of got a sense of who was coming out here. If you saw Raw Monday night and you heard about the two general managers vying for his services, you put two and two together, it's not hard to guess who was coming out next. It was Oba Femi. And Oba comes out, and he got a great reaction here from the crowd. There were chants of Oba, Oba, in the rhythm of Goldberg. Assuming those weren't piped in that way to try to get the crowd to start doing it, of course. I don't trust this company as far as I could throw them. But yes, they were chanting Oba's name in like the Goldberg style. We'll see if that catches on. Wilson still had the mic, though, after Oba got in the ring, and he yelled at Femi before he was met with a very hard strike. Unlike Raw Monday night, we actually got a bell. So this was an official match here. It didn't last very long. Oba repeatedly hit him in the corner with running elbows before putting an end to things with the fall from grace. And that was the end of Kit Wilson here in this segment. Another dominant showing here by Oba Femi. And that's what you do. You book him in a dominant way. You have him come out and beat people in short order. And hell, you could do the Ryback thing, where you start setting up 2-on-1, 3-on-1. Let him beat a whole bunch of people at once. That's what you do to build credibility and make people understand very quickly that this guy is a player and this guy is someone that you need to follow along with here. This guy's going to be a big star. Oba Femi is the kind of guy, it would be extremely hard to fuck this up. I've said that before. And they're playing it very smart right now. I like the idea that both GMs are fighting for his services. I do think he probably ends up on Monday Night Raw. But just keep doing what you're doing is all I have to say. I don't know if we are going to get Oba Femi and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. It is a match that makes sense. They teased the confrontation at the Rumble without actually giving it to us. I think Brock hit him with a German, and then Oba maybe hit him with a German. That was the extent to which we had any physicality between the two of them. But you could feel it in that crowd in Saudi. Like, this was a match they really were waiting to see. So you know the interest is there. And as I look ahead to the WrestleMania card, like, of course they're going to have Brock on the show. But what else would he be doing? And then you got Oba. You're debuting Oba so close to WrestleMania, it wouldn't make any sense for him not to be on the WrestleMania card. Logically, Oba Femi should be wrestling Brock Lesnar. If Oba Femi wrestles Brock Lesnar, Oba Femi beats Brock Lesnar. Because if Oba Femi is not beating Brock Lesnar, then you do not do the match. But that would seem to be the match that would make the most sense. How they get there remains to be seen. I don't know, because Brock doesn't just randomly show up on TV. Does Oba keep running through people and then one day finally takes the microphone and he just calls out Brock? Or maybe he just keeps extending challenges. I need some competition. Where's the real competition? Right? And then Brock shows up one week. I'm curious to see how, if that's the match, how they set it up. But that is not a match I would be doing unless Oba is winning. Oba must keep winning. Damian Priest. He was in the back. With R-Truth, who never wins. And they were shown watching Oba's destruction as Drew McIntyre rudely bumped into Truth. He was walking by and basically shoulder checked him. Priest then got up in McIntyre's face and said, we've had our problems, but it seems like you're in a situation right now where you have your own problems to deal with, so I'm not going to add to that. And with that, McIntyre's music hit, and he made his way back out to the ring, uninterrupted this time, although clearly looking a little paranoid after what happened earlier in the evening. So he got into the ring, he got a microphone, but now he's attacked by a wild Samoan. He is attacked by a wild Jacob Fatu. And Fatu beats him up, he knocks him out of the ring, he knocks him down with a suicide dive. Officials tried to stop Fatu. I'd say half of them got laid out. And Fatu ended up forcing McIntyre to escape through the crowd. This was the second time tonight that the WWE champion was forced to flee. He was forced to run away. This is coming off of him being buried by CM Punk and Roman Reigns on the microphone on Monday night. So you could see why, at the very least, he had to at least get a receipt in at some point during the show for what happened on Monday. But to go from that to him running away from Cody Rhodes and now running away from Jacob Fatu, it did not make him look very strong. So after a commercial break in the back, Nick Aldis is with Fatu, and as he did earlier with Cody, told him that, look, you're going to be in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match next week. So if you want Drew McIntyre, the way to get to him is to win your qualifying match and then go on to win the Elimination Chamber. But that's next week. And so with that, Fatu left, and we didn't see him again for the rest of the show. Now, we found out later in the show what that qualifying match is going to be. The Elimination Chamber triple threat next week is going to be Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn. They're all going to be in the same match, which is wild to me because only one of them can go to the Elimination Chamber. Now, I would assume that out of Cody and Jacob, forget Sami, out of Cody and Jacob, whoever loses next week would be the one to challenge Drew for the championship at the Elimination Chamber, because I would think Drew would be defending the title on that show, since it's not being defended inside the chamber. So that's just an assumption on my part. If that's the case, more likely that Jacob would be the one probably wrestling Drew at the chamber, and they would have Cody win the chamber and then go to Mania, because Cody's not going to be involved in a match at WrestleMania this year that is not for the WWE title. There's no way. He's going to be in that championship match one way or the other. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, well, I don't know if I like this very much. Because the way things are looking right now, if Cody wins that qualifier next week, he's in the chamber. Jacob, let's say, gets the shot against Drew at the chamber. If Drew beats him, and maybe he doesn't, maybe there's some sort of disputed finish, there's still a way to get Jacob in that match at WrestleMania. Because again, I don't want Cody and Drew one-on-one. You can't do Cody and Drew one-on-one. We've already seen it so many times. You have to at least add one person to the match. Jacob is that guy. Jacob is the one who makes the most sense. So there are ways to get there. Now, there's another completely wild idea, which is that Sami Zayn shocks the world and wins the match next week when Drew McIntyre gets involved and fucks over Cody and Jacob for fucking with him tonight. He gets his revenge on them next week by costing them their match, and Sami backdoors his way into the Elimination Chamber. But then what the hell do you do with Cody and Jacob at the chamber? Those are two big names now that have been taken out of that match. So all I'm saying is I'm still expecting a Cody win next week, but don't count out the possibility that they could try to kind of swerve everybody and that Sami Zayn may end up finding his way inside the chamber. And then they would just have to come up with an interesting way to, get Cody that championship match. Offhand, I don't know how they would go about doing that, but there's always a way. Always a way. I just feel like you should have Drew defending the title on that show. We know Punk is going to be defending most likely on that show against Finn Balor. Why not have the other championship defended? Why give Drew the night off? I think they should both be defended on that show. Both belts. But again, I'm puzzled why you would put all three of these men in there unless there's some big angle that they're going to be shooting there, because they need guys, for the Elimination Chamber match. Like, I'm mapping this out in my head. If Cody wins, okay, Cody's in. Randy Orton is also in. I know, spoiler on the main event tonight. Randy Orton's in the Elimination Chamber. So you have Cody and you have Randy, and that makes sense. Both of them in the chamber. Trick Williams is undoubtedly going to qualify and end up in the chamber. We saw him in the main event. He was sitting at ringside watching one of the qualifying matches. Cody, Randy, Trick. You got three other spots. Okay, now we're assuming Sami loses next week. He ain't in it. Jacob loses next week. He ain't in it. Maybe he wrestles Drew. Who are those other three? Damian Priest? They're going to put Damian Priest in there? Possibly. You know who I would love to see qualify to be in the Elimination Chamber match, even though I know he's not going to win it? Ilya Dragunov. There's no reason he can't be in there. He may not win. You may not give him much of a chance. Put him in there. That's still only 5, by the way. You still need one more name. So if you're not putting in Fatu, if you're not putting in Sami Zayn, who is that 6th name? Who is number 6 in that men's chamber match? Someone said Royce Keys. Very possible. Again, we're looking at this is SmackDown only. Somebody said Javon. We're not looking at Javon. We're looking at SmackDown only. I do think that Hobbs ends up on SmackDown. But it's just weird how there was no mention of him. There was no sign of him tonight. But yes, if he ends up in a qualifying match, then absolutely. There you go. He could round out the field. Kit Wilson. Who said Kit Wilson? Who said that? Alexander said Kit Wilson. I don't know why people are saying Javon. Do you not realize Javon is part of Monday Night Raw? Brock. Oh, God, Brock. Oh, why did you say that? Now, you see, Brock Lesnar would have to wrestle on TV to qualify. So that's how I know it will not be Brock Lesnar. That would require him to wrestle on one of the weekly shows, which I don't believe he's done probably since he squashed Kofi Kingston on that first SmackDown on Fox. God, that was 7 years. 7 years. My God. 7 years ago. I'm pretty sure that the only TV match Brock Lesnar has worked in all the years that he has been back in WWE since 2012 were those 8 seconds against Kofi Kingston. Am I missing any other match? I know they've teased him wrestling, but I don't think he's been in an official match on SmackDown or Raw outside of that one. That is amazing. And it's hilarious to me that you would think he would qualify for anything. Anyway, Shinsuke Nakamura against Tama Tonga, who had Tonga Loa and JC Mateo at ringside in his corner. 10 minutes this went. It felt longer. Nakamura sent Tama scurrying out of the ring late in the match. He took Mateo out with a baseball slide. Fell victim, though, to a jumping DDT from Tama when he got back in the ring. Tama lifted Nakamura on his shoulders. Nakamura, though, countered out into a side suplex. And then he delivered a Michinoku driver. Yes, the Cody tag team, again, but that doesn't count, though. That doesn't count. They teased the match with Brock and Seth Rollins, remember on that Raw after WrestleMania 31, which is where Seth cashed in. So they teased the rematch there, which never happened. And then after WrestleMania, I guess it was 3 years ago now, it was going to be Cody and Brock as a tag team, right, against the Bloodline. And it never happened. Obafemi in the chamber, with Brock sabotaging him in the chamber and setting up their match. Yeah, I mean, I guess sabotaging him in what? So are we going to do the tired gimmick where somebody is eliminated? They open the door, and Brock, when the door opens, Brock just jumps into the like. Are we going to do that tired angle again, or how else would Brock get into the chamber? Why? Let me ask you a better question. What would be Brock Lesnar's incentive to do that? Would that not make more sense if they would have done what I suggested, which is that you have Obafemi eliminate Brock Lesnar from the Royal Rumble? Now Brock is pissed. Now Brock has a reason to do something like that. But you had Brock Lesnar eliminate him. What the fuck does Brock Lesnar give a shit if Obafemi is in the Elimination Chamber? He dumped him out of the Rumble. That doesn't make any sense. Brock comes up through the floor. Okay, now there's a lot of things Brock Lesnar is not doing. Brock Lesnar is not hiding under the ring and coming up through the mat. You're putting in a lot more effort than Brock Lesnar does in these ideas you're coming up with. Anyway, Tonga. Let's get back to this. I know we're all trying to distract from talking about this Nakamura Tonga match, but we must go on. We must finish this. Nakamura hit a Michinoku driver for a near fall. As he had Tama in his sights for the Kinshasa, JC Mateo distracted the referee just long enough for Tonga Loa to grab the leg. Tama then recovered. He hit his not-so-hidden blade. Then he hit a proper one. This one was like, kind of like a low one, but then he hit a proper one, and he got the win. This was a match. This was a boring match. But it was a match with the usual MFT interference to make it worse. Backstage, we had Fraxium and the Motor City Machine Guns. Holy shit, they live. They live. So they're walking along backstage, and Candice LeRae approaches them and says, come over here. And she said, look at what happened to Johnny. And we see Johnny Gargano. He is nearby. He is lying face down on top of a box that is marked NXT. She talked about what Axiom did to Gargano after he beat him last week and how important that mask was that you took back from him. The mask is so important to him that you took away. But they said that you're not going to get any sympathy from us. I want you to imagine, I don't know where Gargano and Candice are currently residing. I don't know if they're living in Florida. I don't know if they're living in Cleveland. I think they might be in Cleveland. But wherever they are, they were in Charlotte, North Carolina tonight. So they had to fly. Imagine flying all the way to work. And you get there and you find out, okay, boss, what am I doing tonight? And your job, after flying all the way in here, is to lay face down on top of a box for 2 minutes and say nothing. I don't even think he blinked. He looked catatonic as he was laying there. And that's it. That's all he did on this show. That was his only job, unless he wrestled on Main Event or something. That was his only task tonight. I mean, look, I guess it's not bad work if you can get it. I think the lowest, like minimum main roster WWE salary these days is said to be $350,000 a year. I don't know if Johnny Gargano was making the minimum. Maybe he's making a little bit more than that. He's been around for a while, but let's say he's making $350,000. He's clearing $350K a year to fly into work and lay on top of a box. I mean, look, I guess it's not bad work if you can get it. Elsewhere, Rhea Ripley and Io Sky, they were interviewed about their win earlier tonight when they were interrupted by Nia Jax and Lash Legend. This ended with Nia saying, you know what? I'm going to go talk to Nick Aldis, and I'm going to get our tag team championship match that we are owed. And she did get it because they announced later on that match is going to be taking place on SmackDown next week. But as they went off, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez showed up, all the way from the wonderful world of Monday Night Raw. We technically now had 4 Raw women that were on the screen here on SmackDown. And they passed by Rhea and Io on their way out to the ring. But first, you go backstage, and we see Kit Wilson licking his wounds after what happened with Obafemi earlier, and he's walking in the back, and he runs into Matt Cardona, and oh my God, it's Apollo Crews. Said no one ever, except me. I couldn't believe my eyes. They pried him away from catering long enough to make an appearance here on TV. I mean, the chicken breast is not going to eat itself. He had to leave the chicken breast on the table to come be a part of this segment. And he didn't really do much, but he was there. I can't remember the last time we saw him on SmackDown. He's been pulling main event duties since he came back from the torn pec. But there they are. Kit Wilson blames Cardona for all of his problems. He calls him toxic. Cardona says, I'm always ready. And Wilson says, well, I have to go take a bath. And off he goes. It's bad news for Matt Cardona if they have him hanging out with Apollo Crews already. part of the main event crew. It's not a good sign for Cardona. Now, Nick Aldis was in the ring, and he introduces Liv Morgan along with Raquel Rodriguez. Liv gets in the ring, and she calls herself the greatest Royal Rumble winner of all time in the most annoying way possible. This is what she said. So she continues putting herself over for a while before eventually talking about how she can choose whichever champion she wants to at WrestleMania. She might choose the Women's World Champion, Stephanie Vaquer. She might choose the WWE Women's Champion, Jade Cargill, right? She's got a big decision to make. So she says WrestleMania isn't the only thing on her mind. And she wants to address something, but then Raquel Rodriguez takes the microphone out of her hand, swipes it away, says that she wants to address the elephant in the room. But before anything can come of that, Jade Cargill heads to the ring. And I would like to point out to all of you right now that we are 2 days away from history. Do you realize this? In 2 days, Jade Cargill, or as Joe Tessitore calls her, Jade Cargill. I just laugh every time he says it. It's like he says it like gargle. Every time he says it, go back and listen. Anytime he says the name Jade Cargill, he calls her Jade Cargill. I just fucking laugh every time. But what I was going to say is Jade Cargill is about to hit 100 days as the WWE Women's Champion without a single defense. 100 days as champion, not one defense. The good news is we are about to finally get that first defense next week. But I just thought I would point that out. Another 48 hours and history will be made. So Jade doesn't care about Liv winning the Rumble. She warns Liv that if she chooses her, she'll beat her ass at WrestleMania. And she looks over and she goes, oh, by the way, what are you looking at? And she gets up in Raquel's face. So Liv tries to laugh this off, and she warns Jade to watch what she says because she could let Raquel humble her, and then they could leave WrestleMania both as champions together. So this brings out Jordan Grace. You like that, huh? Jade Cargill. I swear to God, go back and listen. Anytime Joe Tessitore says that, that's exactly how he says it. Jade's TBS title run is better than her WWE. Of course it is, because she actually defended the title. Actually, her last match in AEW was her best match. That was the match she had with Chris Statlander. Better than anything she's done in WWE so far. Jordan Grace shows up with a microphone and her terribly generic music. So now she and Stephanie Vaquer have something in common. So she interrupts and congratulates Liv on the win, but says that if she could get Jade to actually defend her belt, then Liv might be facing her instead. So Aldis, thankfully, he's heard enough. And he reminds Liv Morgan what he told her earlier, which is that if you are able to come on the show and talk, then you are able to come on the show and fight. And then he does his best Teddy Long impersonation. He makes a tag team match playa. It's going to be Jade Cargill and Jordan Grace as tag team partners. Can they coexist? Taking on Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. This segment was a waste of time. This segment, nothing of interest was said. Liv did not make her decision. Basically, if you watch Raw Monday night, her decision was already made. They're going to milk it a little while longer. She ain't wrestling Jade Cargill or Jordan Grace at WrestleMania. She's wrestling Stephanie Vaquer. Or Raquel or some combination of that, but it's going to be on the Raw side. It's not going to be on the SmackDown side. This was one of those segments that you do because you have 3 hours of television time to kill. When you're watching the show, you know when you get a segment like this where nothing happens. Nothing of any importance is said, or it feels like they're stretching, right? They're dragging things out. That's what this was. So we got a match here. It was joined already in progress after a commercial break. Grace got lifted by a back suplex from Rodriguez, but she avoided a diving bomb that followed. Morgan tagged in. She tried for the 3 amigos. Grace countered the 3rd amigo and delivered a suplex of her own. Jordan flattened Morgan with a series of lariats. She covered her. Raquel interrupted the count. As Grace sent Raquel out of the ring, Morgan attempted an oblivion, and Grace was able to block it. That's when Jade accidentally hit Grace with a kick after Raquel moved out of the way, and then Raquel did the same and accidentally kicked Liv Morgan when I believe Jade moved out of the way. So as Cargill and Rodriguez were staring each other down, they were getting ready for a fight. Grace shoved Raquel into Jade, which knocked the champion out of the ring, and that allowed Jordan to roll up Raquel for the win. At least they gave Jordan the win. That was the right call. They're still building to this first title defense between the two of them. And also things got a little rockier between Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez here. They're building the tension here between the two of them. You know, at this rate, I'm not sure if they'll make it to WrestleMania together or if they're going to do the split before then. I'm not sure. But about that Jade and Jordan match, they were arguing in the back later after a commercial when Nick Aldis showed up and he announced that Jade is going to have to defend her title. Oh my God. Holy shit, it's really going to happen. Next week, Jade Cargill will finally defend her WWE Championship against Jordan Grace. So at least now we know. Elsewhere in the back, poor Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn is walking around, and he is looking like a stockbroker after a market crash. And all of these random backstage people are like walking by him. Hey, Sammy, good match, man. You'll get him next time. We got a Ryan Ward cameo for those of you who watch Unreal. Ryan Ward, one of the head writers there, head members of the creative team. He walked by and shouted some words of encouragement to Sammy as well. So then Sammy ran into Rey Fenix, who consoled him after his Rumble loss, called him an inspiration to me and others. They were then interrupted by Trick Williams, who referred to himself as the Michael Jordan to Sammy's Charles Barkley. Sammy is that guy who goes to the playoffs but always loses. Phoenix told Williams that he had a big mouth and he would shut him up if he kept it up. And Trick said that he would do it anytime, any place. They're doing that match next week. We already saw this match, by the way. They did this match last month. And Williams won, so they're doing it again. After this, they aired highlights from the great segment that closed Raw Monday night with CM Reigns and CM Punk. It's Friday night. The week is almost over. Leave me alone. CM Punk and Roman Reigns. It wasn't so awesome though for Drew McIntyre, who caught some strays during that segment. He was wounded during that segment. And I said, as soon as Raw was over, I said, Drew better get his receipt come Friday night. Those comments, those insults, they cannot go unanswered if you are the WWE champion. So McIntyre showed up ringside, and he stood on top of the announce desk, and he had a live mic in his hand. So finally, he was going to get the chance to get something off his chest. He said Cody Rhodes and Jacob Fatu should be banned from the Elimination Chamber qualifiers for attacking him like cowards. So he calls BS on that. Sami Zayn, he believed that he was going to win the big one, but he crushed him. It was broken dreams for him, and that's what it's going to be for anyone who gets in the ring with Drew McIntyre. But he goes, let's talk about Monday night. CM Punk and Roman Reigns. He heard what they had to say, and frankly, he was disappointed. And at this point, the crowd drowned him out with OTC chants, so he let them get it out of their system. He goes, they were such big superstars, but they came across to him as very insecure. Talking about him doesn't upset him. People talk about him all the time, but what frustrated him was them trying to make this title and this brand second rate. For the SmackDown roster, if you didn't see that as a declaration of war and you don't wrestle every match like it's your last match, I'll show your arses the door. I don't know if he was trying to rhyme there, but he kind of did. As for this title, what did you say, Punk? The man makes the title doesn't make the man. This man has been through hell to get this title. This man never quit when times got tough. He would never go part-time. He was there when the world shut down, and he earned this title. He got some cheers for this. How about the men who made this title? The San Martinos, the Hogans, the Bret Harts, the Shawn Michaels, the not Dusty Rhodes, the Triple H's, the Stone Cold, the Rocks. Real men. If you try to lie to yourself and say that this isn't the number one title, I'll look you right in the eye and call you a liar. And Roman, I get it, bro. I know why you picked Punk. On the one hand, you got a 280-pound Scottish war machine. And on the other, you've got that tattooed sociopath, Fragile Phil, who's always one fall away from his career being over. Without your Samoan army, I'd kill you. You made the best choice for you, so good luck at WrestleMania. When you two are out there acting like a couple of little boys and aura farming, which is very true. Me, I've got an entire roster climbing over each other to get into that elimination chamber for the right to face the undisputed champion. The real best in the world in the main event of WrestleMania. I thought that he did as good of a job as you could possibly do in this situation, but there's nothing that Drew McIntyre or Cody Rhodes or anybody here involved in this is going to be able to say that in these next 2 months are going to make that main event feel bigger than the main event they set up on Monday night. That's just the way it is. This is the year that the WWE title takes a backseat to the World Heavyweight Championship. For the first time since that title was established, by the way. It's going to get the spotlight. It's going to get the bigger of the two main events of WrestleMania. So there's nothing he could do about that. I think that he hit on the points he needed to hit on. He might not have had that big burn. He didn't have that big burn like, Punk or Roman did maybe on Monday. I like that he stuck up for his brand. They had him stick up for SmackDown. And he's telling the rest of the roster, look, if you don't take those words as some declaration of war here, then get the fuck out. He's not just berating me and disrespecting the championship. He's disrespecting SmackDown. Which is true. That's what they were doing on Monday. But it was the aura farming line that just got me, because that term perfectly describes WWE in 2026. And it's not just a Roman Reigns thing or a CM Punk thing. It's a WWE thing. They all do it. They all do it. Like that, we joke about some of these entrances, especially on the PLEs, that feel like they're longer than the matches sometimes. That is the era of WWE that we are in now. We are in the aura farming era of WWE, where everything is cinema and everything. You just gotta, the elaborate entrances and the constant looking at the crowd and pausing as you're waiting for the chant. You're waiting for them to sing to you, right? He's so right about that. But he does it too. It's worse with Roman, but they all do it. But I thought that this was a very strong promo here. He got his licks in. At least he got his receipt. The most important thing was he had to address what happened on Monday. And I'm glad he did. Because for a while there, I wasn't sure he was going to. When the second time when he got attacked by Fatu, I said, are they not going to allow him to have some mic time tonight? Because that would be ridiculous. So thankfully he did. Now, we weren't done yet, because as McIntyre went to go leave, he was interrupted by Trick Williams, who said that he figured he would come out here, he would watch the main event, maybe kick up his lemon pepper steppers, and watch this qualifying match. And then it hit me. Drew, you're worried about all the wrong things. Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jacob Fatu, Raheem. Let me give you some advice, dog. You need to be worried about the future of this business, because Trick Williams is the man who's going to take that title from you at WrestleMania. Let's talk about it. I'm loving Trick Williams. He has fit into this show perfectly. He fits like a glove on this show. McIntyre got up at his face and said, I did say step up, and you just stepped up. But a little bit of advice for you, kid. Walk before you run. Because if you interrupt the champion again, I'll stick those lemon pepper steppers where the sun don't shine. And off went the WWE champion. Trick continues to shine here in these segments. He keeps getting FaceTime with the biggest stars on the brand, right? Sami Zayn, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre, Cody Rhodes. And he's killing it, with every opportunity when he goes out there. He fits. You talk about aura. We were just talking about aura farming, right? He's got it. He's got that. When that music hits and he comes out, he's got that. So it's only up from here. He's carrying his end. He's doing his part so far. Now in the... yes. He is him. Solomonster cutting a Trick promo. I'm telling you what the man said. I'm telling you what the man said. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about this. In the back, Solo Sikoa is wandering around like a fucking idiot, looking for the stupid lantern and his family, or looking for the family and the lantern. I don't know. Kathy Kelly comes up to him and Solo says, I don't have time for your questions. He says his family better be out there with him. Then he picks up the lantern and he heads to the ring because it's main event time. It is the final Elimination Chamber qualifier of the night. It is on the men's side. It is Randy Orton. It is Aleister Black. And it is Solo Sikoa. Solo tried to get Black to team up on Orton, but it was a double cross. And Sikoa pulled Orton out of the ring. He threw him into the ring post. Black hit his moonsault from the apron onto Solo. And then countered an attempted back suplex onto the announce desk. Instead, he took Orton out, and that took us into a break. We returned with Orton stomping on Black while he had Solo trapped in, I guess what looked to me, I don't know if it was a knee bar, a heel hook, or some kind of leg submission here. So this opened both men up to some of the Orton Garvin style stomps. Black pulled Orton to the center of the ring after this. He worked him over until he got pulled outside and thrown into the barricade by Solo, who briefly stared down Trick Williams. Trick's just sitting there minding his own business, observing and watching the match. Back inside, Black dropped. Black got dropped, I believe, with a Samoan drop. We went into a final commercial break. Orton, after the break, hit Solo Sikoa with a draping DDT, and then he struck the Viper's pose. And it was RKO time. Black, though, rushes in with a boot to the face. Solo catches Black with the spinning Solo for a near fall. So now Solo Sikoa is readying the Samoan spike. Black, though, ducks it, hits a bridging German suplex. That doesn't work. Orton sneaks up for an RKO to Black, who counters. He doesn't get it, but he counters with a roll-up. That doesn't work. Randy avoids the Black Mass, catches Black with an RKO. But Aleister has the presence of mind to roll out of the ring to the floor, save himself from doing a job. That's basically what happened here. So he rolls out to the floor. Orton can't follow up. And now Solo is back up and he's readying the spike. Orton doesn't know it. Randy Orton gets back up. He's taking his sweet time turning around because Solo's right behind him. He's ready to hit the spike. And Orton is just taking his time. And it's almost like he had that sixth sense that someone was behind him. So instead of turning around, he reaches back, he grabs Solo, and he drops him with an RKO. And he covers him, and just like that, Randy Orton gets the 3. He has punched his ticket to the Elimination Chamber. Solo's family never did show up. We never saw JC Mateo. We never saw the Tongans. There was no Tala Tonga on the show at all. So I guess the idea is that the Wyatt family kidnapped them, the way that Gabe Kidd and Clark Connors kidnapped Darby Allin on Wednesday. At least the Wyatts had enough sense not to commit a felony on camera the way that they did on Wednesday night. So it was a predictable outcome. I mean, when this match was advertised and you saw who was involved, there's only one logical conclusion to come to, which is that, of course, Randy Orton is going to win this match, right? No one believed that Solo Sikoa was going to win. No one believed Aleister Black had a shot. So it was a foregone conclusion, but it was the right outcome. Solid match otherwise. Trick stayed at ringside like a fan. He was just observing, and he'd never got involved, and I have to assume he will be in one of these qualifiers. He will get in, and he'll be a part of the chamber. Because, again, if no other reason, I mean, I'm running out of guys to think of who would even be in there. Like, he has to be in there. He has to be inside the chamber. And it was nice, I will say. There were, if you think about it, two different hints of potential interference in this match. Trick being at ringside, you assume he would get involved in some way, right? Where somebody's going to get thrown into him and he'll respond. He never got involved. And also the Wyatt Six never showed up. Because when Solo was behind Orton with the spike, I'm just waiting for the lights to go out. I'm waiting for something. Uncle Howdy's going to pop up from under the ring or something. And they never showed up. Nor did Solo's MFT. So we actually had a clean match, which was nice. It was a nice change of pace here for WWE, because that's all we fucking get in 95% of these matches is some sort of distraction or interference. I mean, Triple H can't help himself. Look at that show on Monday night. We had 3 matches on Raw Monday night. They all ended the exact same way. Every single one of those matches. Some sort of distraction or interference that led to, I believe, the babyface winning in every single match. Like, they have their formula, and man, they love sticking to it. It is nauseating. So it's nice to get a clean finish like this. I thought on the whole, it was a solid show. You got a hot crowd in Charlotte, definitely louder than the one we had in Philadelphia on Monday night. The matches on the show, again, I wasn't a fan of the women's qualifying match. I just didn't think it was that good. But all the other matches were at least decent, if not good. The build has begun to the Elimination Chamber. It's starting to take shape. The women's tag team title match, honestly, it gets my pick for match of the night. I just thought that match was a lot of fun. I wish every Giulia match could have the crowd invested in the way that it was tonight. But to me, that's the match that gets a thumbs up. Now, next Friday, be aware, SmackDown is moving to Sci-Fi due to the Winter Olympics, I believe, for the next 2 weeks. Now, if you're like me and you're watching on your VPN and you're connected on Netflix, you don't have to worry about that. But if you're watching here in the US, it will not be on USA. So just be aware of that. But they're I will say this, for a show that is being moved to Sci-Fi next week, you would think, oh man, they're going to, phone it in or whatever. They ain't phoning the show in next week. This is what they got on tap. We have Trick Williams taking on Rey Fenix again. We have Jade Cargill finally defending her WWE Women's Championship against Jordynne Grace. We have Rhea Ripley and Io Sky putting their women's tag team titles on the line against Lash Legend and Nia Jax. We have in an Elimination Chamber qualifying match, Alexa Bliss, Giulia, and Zelina Vega. I'm going Alexa Bliss to win that one. And then in the other qualifying match, Cody Rhodes versus Jacob Fatu versus Sami Zayn. Pretty big match. Especially because only one of those guys can actually go to the chamber. And I'm picking Cody to win with the idea that Jacob probably ends up wrestling Drew separately for the championship, maybe at the chamber. But again, I don't count out Sami Zayn. Don't count out the possibility that they could do some sort of finish here where Drew gets involved. And again, triple threat, no disqualification. Drew gets involved to get a measure of revenge on both men for coming after him tonight. And again, how they end up doing it with Cody ultimately getting the shot or Jacob ultimately getting the shot. I mean, they'll have to shoot some kind of angle, but Sami ends up being the beneficiary and he ends up in the Elimination Chamber. I still think maybe I'm overthinking it. Sometimes the simplest things, that's the way it goes. Cody wins. Because I think Cody is winning the Elimination Chamber. That's how he gets into that championship match at WrestleMania. He didn't win the Rumble, because that would have been stupid. but he's never won the chamber before. And I think that's what we're going to get. But then you have two big names there in Jacob and Sammy who aren't even going to be in the chamber. And it's like, wow, that surprised me. When I saw all three names in the same match next week and only one can advance, that surprised me. Let's go to the poll. What did you think of SmackDown from Charlotte? With no Charlotte. 46.3% thumbs up, 30% thumbs in the middle, and 23.6% thumbs down. So not a great score for tonight's SmackDown. Not great. I forgot to open the Super Chats. I should probably do that. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to read your messages, so if you got anything to say, if you want to support the channel, get those messages on in right now. We'll hang out for a little bit. And again, the goal was 450. We are at 439. So we're a little shy of the goal. Too long, says Falcon Star. 3 hours. Yes. I mean, what, you want me to say it every week? We've established that 3 hours is too long for a weekly wrestling show. Unfortunately, this is the way it's going to be for at least the next 6 months. Probably longer. Shout out to Paul. 34 months of membership. Says I'm late. Always watch, though. What did I miss? Everything. You missed everything. That's all right. You could always go back and check everything out that you missed. Shout out to Joseph. Dropped a few super chats here. Not as many as usual. So we'll zip through these here. It says, have you seen the Empire magazine cover featuring the Masters of the Universe movie? I did not see that, no. Did Triple H ever have a match with Rey Mysterio? Pretty sure he did. I'm almost positive they did. What are your top 5 favorite places to eat pizza? Oh, like pizza places? I don't eat pizza anymore, so I have 0. When I was a kid, I used to love Pizza Hut, honestly. I used to have those little personal, what they call them? The little pan pizzas. They were pretty small. I used to love that shit. I never ate Domino's. I don't eat DiGiorno. But, yeah, many, many years ago, I used to be a big Pizza Hut guy. Have you seen the new trailer to the Michael Jackson movie? No. Did you see Dom and Liv? Do you see Dom and Liv winning the AAA mixed tag team titles in AAA? I do not. What are your thoughts on Liv and Dom being compared to Macho Man and Elizabeth? I think that's you making the comparison, because ain't nobody else that I pay attention to making that comparison. There is no comparison between the two. Liv and Dom are Liv and Dom. Macho Man and Liz are Macho Man and Liz. The first couple of WWE. Little Caesars. Huh? I never had Little Caesars. Never tried Little Caesars. Used to see the commercials all the time, but never tried it. Have you seen the Jurassic Park Super Bowl commercial? No. If it's going to air during the Super Bowl, I will see it during the Super Bowl. I don't like looking at any of the Super Bowl ads before the Super Bowl. Anyway, Joseph, thank you. Holiday 197 says, hey, Solo. It's sad that the Street Profits, Motor City Machine Guns, and DIY are no longer featured after their triple threat TLC match last year. It should have been given bigger pushes. Motor City Machine Guns or DIY could have moved to Raw. Well, DIY, I mean, it's kind of out of their control, I would say, as far as that team going to the wayside. Not much they could do about that, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going on with either tag team division right now. The tag team divisions on both shows are absolute dog shit right now. Just absolutely terrible. It's sad. It really is sad. He says, I'd rather see Rhea turn on Io and cost them the tag belt against the Bellas. Look, I mean, I think I laid it out the other night. Get the belts off of them by the Elimination Chamber. You could get the belts off them next week if you want to. You could put the belts on Nia and Lash. My thought was you get them onto Bayley and Lyra, because they could have probably a pretty kick-ass match at the Elimination Chamber. Get the belts on Bayley and Lyra. Have Bayley and Lyra defend them against the Bellas at WrestleMania, because you know Nikki and Brie are going for those belts at WrestleMania and probably winning them. But the key is to get those belts off of them before Mania, and then you could do Rhea and Io, and I'll do you one better. And I know this is pie in the sky, pizza pie in the sky, not going to happen. I would be okay if you were to headline night one of WrestleMania with Rhea Ripley against Io Sky. They'll never do it because there's nothing on the line. There's no title on the line. But I'm just saying. I saw their match at Evolution. I know, title or no title, they can go out there and have a kick-ass main event match at WrestleMania. Not a doubt in my mind. But main event or not, that's the match I'd like to see. Broly. If they have zero trust in Jade having long matches, why is she even the world champion? She only has 6 minutes of in-ring time since early November. I mean, look at her. There's your answer. She looks like a superhero. Of course they're going to want the belt on her. It's as simple as that. Think they put the belt on her because of her great technical wrestling skills? Sometimes you just have to look at the performer and then ask yourself, why are they in the position they're in? And usually you could just look at them and you can tell. Dried chicken says, I got to admit, it's just so funny to see how WWE is so clean, polished, and sanitized. I should give out cold cut sandwiches, sushi, and grilled chicken. The Mount Vernon kid, Christopher Bennett, say loud and proud, Solo. In my opinion, that should be there should be only one main championship title. Isn't it true that the belt Drew has is the one with the legacy? You mean the other belt that has 2 years worth of history is not the belt with the legacy? I'm shocked. Yes, there's only one belt with the real world title with the real legacy in this company. Drew McIntyre has it. And he's still not closing the second night of WrestleMania this year. Venom Katetsu. 5 months of membership. Sorry for the lack of Super Chat support. Home stretch of finishing credit card balance. Will Brie mode soon. It's all good, brother. I'm glad you're with us tonight. Thank you for hanging out. C's says, was EO over tonight? EO is over every night. You don't even have to ask the question. Holiday says, I wonder what Sammy will do for WrestleMania. I can see Sammy against Dragunov to give them both the spot on the card. Sammy should not miss WrestleMania for 2 years in a row. I can see either Sammy or Ilya as the heel. Yeah, I don't have Sammy factored into any sort of championship match or major match. I question whether he will even be on the show. I really do. But if it comes down to it, and you got guys like Sammy and Ilya who don't have any sort of real spot to speak of, I wouldn't mind that match. It'd be a great match. Brandon Proctor, Kairi is still following Asuka back to the States. She is in transit as we speak. Alexander, if we don't get Oba versus Lesnar, Oba versus Gunther works. I don't like it. I don't like it because I know what's going to happen. They're going to have Gunther beat him. I don't like it. Derek. Oh, actually, I'm skipping ahead here. Lost Dill. Almost missed Lost Dill. How could I miss Lost Dill? With a $20 super chat. Catching the tail end of the live stream. Thanks for getting me through these late nights at work. The best in the business. Love you, Solo, as always. Thank you, brother. I very much appreciate that. Alexander says, calling it now, LA Knight is going in the chamber. So LA Knight from Monday Night Raw is going to end up in the chamber. I'd like to see how they swing that. Because he's still feuding with the Vision, so I don't see that. Derek says, I'm sure you saw the Fightful story on how even Sol Ruka questioned the Soul Snatcher spot in the Rumble. What the hell was up with the producers this year? Man, Kairi is just... she's getting abused this week. Yeah, I mean, look, I said it that night before I even saw that story. I don't know. I don't know what they were thinking this year when they were coming up with different spots and eliminations in this match. It's like they didn't know how to book the Royal Rumble. I'm talking more about the men's than the women's. I mean, the women's spot there at the end, I like the finish, but like that spot where she went for the Soul Snatcher on the apron, which would have eliminated her regardless, was incredibly dumb. But the men's match was just egregious with some of the shit that they did there. I don't understand it. I really don't. You have multiple people who are putting this match together, and they have to look at this and go, yep, that sounds good. Yep, that sounds like a great idea. That'll work. It boggles my mind. It really does. Alexander says Gargano and Candice should follow Ciampa to AEW. Just what Tony Khan needs. More wrestlers to sign. I don't think he's got enough of them. More says Dynamite got 654,000. Houses being larger. AEW is rising. I don't think the weekly houses are that much larger. I think they're pretty much what they've been. The 654 was the highest Dynamite total, I want to say, since September, but there was also a change which I'll talk about on Sunday, in the Nielsen numbers, because a lot of people and television executives were complaining because the numbers were down across the board, especially for wrestling. WWE, AEW, TNA. And last week, they made a change to try to improve some of the numbers. All of a sudden, wrestling's back up. Collision was up. Dynamite was up. I think SmackDown was up. TNA was up. So it's great. Obviously, you want to trend in that direction and not go lower, but there's a reason why there was a spike. So now we wait and see what the numbers are going to look like in a few weeks. If it's going to be in this range still, if it's going to trend down a little bit more. But yeah, there were a lot of complaints, and then Nielsen was like, oh shit, we better update this methodology here because everyone's got their panties in a bunch. But wrestling really took it on the chin. Toya says CM Reigns. LOL. Leopard Toe says CM Reigns. Best in the bloodline. Just fuse them together, right? Good old CM Reigns. Jake Stevens, it was good to be back in America tonight. Almost choked to death there. Jake Stevens, where were you? Were you on vacation? You make it sound like you just got back from some great voyage somewhere. Alexander, it's fucking cold here in America. I'll tell you that much. It's going to be 7 degrees. I'm going to be out in 7-degree weather tomorrow night. I can't wait. Alexander, the Lantern is Solo's FTW title. And Navy. Obafemi's March syncs up great with the Double J theme. What? What are you talking about? No, that shouldn't be a thing. You're gonna start something here. We got Jeremy. How do they get 6 women in the chamber match from SmackDown? Obviously going to be Liv, Steph. Are they going to have Raw women compete to face That's a good point, actually. Well, see here. Well, Liv has not made her choice yet. But if we assume that she is going to pick Stephanie, then yes, it should be. I don't know how they are going to do that, because if she doesn't make her choice for a few more weeks, I mean, she may make it on Monday for all we know, but let's say they let a few weeks go by. You would think, why wouldn't they have some Raw women in that chamber match? Right? And then in the end, like if Liv ends up choosing Stephanie in 2 weeks, let's say, the Raw women who end up in the chamber could still compete, and then if they end up winning, they would just be moved over to SmackDown, so you could do it that way. Maybe that's why they're doing that, because you're probably right. They're going to have to find some women from Raw. I mean, look, Alexa is in a qualifying match next week, right? Alexa's going to get in. Charlotte Flair is going to get in as well. Okay? So Tiffany's already in. You're going to have Tiffany. You're going to have Charlotte. You're going to have Alexa. Yeah, I mean, God, who else? Well, Bianca. I still got my fingers crossed. It might be a small chance, but maybe Bianca ends up being in the chamber. But you got a good point, though. They may be a little short-handed on the SmackDown side. Michin and BFAB aren't even around. Ironically, it was in matches with Jade at live events where they got hurt. So we haven't seen them since they wrestled Jade. Jabe Shepard says, Solomonster, do you remember the last Raw episode on Spike TV where they tried to censor the commentators saying USA Network? It was in 2005. Yes, I do. They were trying, but they gave up like halfway through the episode. They just said, fuck it. So then every time they would mention hey, we're going to USA, we're going to USA, they stopped bleeping it out. That was funny, actually. Luis, Domino's and Pizza Hut are the kings of pizza. Good luck to Papa John's trying to dethrone Little Caesars as the 3rd best pizza in the U.S. And stay warm in this winter storm, Solomonster. Well, Luis, I am going to try. I shall do my best. I forgot about Papa John's. I had a friend who tried Papa John's. He said it tasted like garbage. So, didn't get a big Papa John's endorsement. Dry Chicken says, if WWE books a Dragunov versus Lesnar match, it would be like David versus Goliath. Well, they are not going to book a Lesnar Dragunov match. Not this year. I guarantee it. Rumored to get 1 to 3 inches of snow. Who is rumored to get 1 to 3 inches of snow? It better not be us. I mean, they are showing some snowflakes in the forecast overnight, but I thought it was just a dusting. Anyway, we are at 477 likes, which if you take a look at the wheel here, 450 was the goal. So you hit the goal. Very good. And that guarantees you 1 round of Be the Booker. Let's do it.
Gentlemen, it is now time to be the Booker.
Snow out of Providence. Well, I am not in Providence, which is very good. Yes, they said that it will be 7 degrees tomorrow night. I don't know what the wind chill is going to be because they're going to have like 15-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And I got to be in the city, so yeah. Retro KOH, Giordano's and Lou Malnati's are both goated pizza next time you go to Chicago. Who is Lou Malnati? Never heard of him before. Well, when I'll be in Chicago in March, and I will not be having pizza. Because if I do have pizza, that's going to be, I feel bad for everybody on that flight with me. No more pizza for me. God, when was the last time I had a slice of pizza? It's got to be 15 years by now. All right, here we go. Be the booker. Hulk Hogan and Edge. They were tag team champions there for a few weeks. They actually won the titles on the 4th of July. Or at least that's when it aired. I don't think it was live. What's more American than Hulk Hogan winning a championship on the 4th of July? You tell me. They're going to be defending those titles against the Usos. Jimmy and Jay against Hulk Hogan and Edge. There you go. You got some names right there in that match. That's a marquee match right there. Women's Be the Booker. We have the former Impact Knockouts champion, Mickie James, stepping into the ring. And who will she be stepping into the ring with? TNA Hall of Famer, by the way. Not WWE Hall of Famer. And Mickie James is going to be taking on AJ, not Styles, AJ Lee. I'm still expecting her to wrestle Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. All right. Our main event of the evening begins with the Ministry of Darkness Undertaker. My least favorite version of the Undertaker. Oh my God, he's facing Dave Meltzer. But not just Dave Meltzer. Not just Dave Meltzer. It is Money Dave Meltzer. It is the Rainmaker Dave Meltzer. Now, I gave that the bell because, look, Dave keeps himself in good shape. Dave could get in there. He's got his arms maybe bigger than the Undertaker at this point. But you see the money he's holding in his hand there? I would pay that. I would pay good money to see Dave Meltzer step into the ring with the Undertaker. And you would too. Don't lie. Don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. Now imagine this match in the Tokyo Dome. 5-star match if I've ever seen one. Fried chicken dropping a 15 for KAAAIRRRRIII. Super Bowl Sunday is coming. Everyone, WWE and NXT will be hosting their Super Bowl parties. Pick any wrestler, team, or faction from either one to join their party. Well, I kind of answered a similar question on Wednesday. I can tell you I would not be joining the Don Callis family party because there would be no food left. I sure as fuck ain't going to be hanging out with the MFTs or the Wyatts. I just think that would be a weird party to be a part of. So I would say, but I mean, since you pretty much opened it wide to any team or wrestler or faction, I don't know. Maybe I'll be hanging out with Sol Ruka and Zarya for the Super Bowl. What do you think about that? I think that could work. Nah, I take it back. I'm going to be hanging out with Rhea Ripley and Io Sky. That's how I'll be spending my Super Bowl. Justin G, we need a spin for the show venue sometime. See, there's an idea. There's an idea. We can add, and even if it's like a bonus where we don't do it every time we do Be the Booker. Hit a certain goal, pick the venue, put Madison Square Garden on there, the Tokyo Dome, Cork and Hall, Daly's Place, the Barclays Center, Club La Vila, which isn't there anymore, but fuck it, we'll put it on there anyway. Yeah, you know what? That's actually a really good idea. I'm going to put that on the list. You just made the list. I got a lot of ideas. I got things I got to add. Solomonster going to hit Sol Ruka with the Solo Snatcher. Yes, right. The Solo Snatcher. Yeah, Arena Mexico. Yeah, we'll put Arena Mexico on there. You realize that Mystico made history in January, and no one talks about it, but 18 sellouts that he, on shows that he headlined, or clearly he was responsible for a lot of those tickets being sold. He headlined 18 sellouts in the month of January. No other wrestler, no other headliner, to my knowledge, has ever done that before. And it's only January. We still have the rest of the year to go. It's unbelievable. OM2 Cool. They kept me down for 5 years. For 5 years, they kept me at the bottom of the barrel. Ricochet. Yeah, we'll talk about Ricochet on Sunday. I had a whole segment lined up for Ricochet and his comments and the Hangman stuff. We'll talk WWE. We'll be covering a lot of good stuff on the Sound Off this Sunday. It's episode 950, actually, of the Sound Off this Sunday. Watch the Puppy Bowl. No. Wrigley Field. Yeah, you know what? I'll put some weird locations in there too. Put Citi Field where the Mets play. Fenway Park. Wrigley Field. Whatever that stadium is, the baseball stadium that has the big jacuzzi or the big pool in the back. I always forget where that is. Is that Arizona? I don't know. We'll put that in there too. Jake, if God forbid Triple H died, who would take his job? Oh, I'm sure Bruce would slide right in there, at least on an interim basis. Long term, who would they find? I don't know. I don't know. But I mean, the people they have that work there right now, you've got Bruce, you've got Michael Hayes is there, you've got Paul Heyman. So at least on an interim basis, it would be one of those three. Long term, I don't know. I don't know who that person would be. Shawn, yeah, I mean, look, Shawn Michaels, you could do that. You can call him up from, if he wants the job. I don't know. You know, if he would want to take Triple H's spot, then you just got to find somebody else to run NXT, which I know is something CM Punk has expressed a desire to do. But CM Punk is still active. So it would be, I feel like politically, there would be a lot of politicking and jockeying going on behind the scenes when it comes to these positions. Because they are highly coveted positions that multiple people, I'm sure, would want. Maybe they pick up the phone and call Scott D'Amore. I don't know. John Cena, yeah. I think John Cena's got enough going on right now with his movies. This is a full-time job. So what you're suggesting is that John Cena just give up his entire Hollywood career to book WWE? We don't even know if he has an aptitude for it. I don't think he wants the job. Road Dog. Oh, who said Road Dog? Oh my God. I can't even imagine. Especially not after watching Unreal. I can't imagine him running the entire thing. He'd run it right into the fucking ground. Oh my God. Micah, don't forget Allstate Arena / Rosemont Horizon. Lost Dill. Favorite Vince Russo moment, bro? Mine, you ask? It's got to be when he called Hogan a bald bitch. And when is Dark Side of the Ring said to come back? I thought it was March, but I don't remember offhand when the next season kicks off. My guess would be by the end of March, but don't quote me on that. My favorite Russo moment, I don't have one. There's no such thing. There's no on-camera, on-screen Russo moment that I would consider my favorite anything. Imagine if they brought back Russo. No, he's a little busy with the Juggalos. So you don't have to worry about that. Oh man, Falcon Star says Russo is with the clowns where he belongs. I don't know why that made me laugh. Oh. Cody Rahim would take the Triple H spot. Well, Cody is another one who has expressed interest. But again, so long as they're active, that would be terrible, by the way. You can't be a player coach in wrestling. It doesn't work. The conflict of interest is just too great. That was always my issue with the EVPs in AEW, having EVP titles while they were still active wrestlers. Like, you were just asking for trouble by doing that. Oh, you want to know my favorite Russo moment? There it is, right there. Look what just popped up on screen. The only time that we ever saw Russo and Cornette on screen together next to each other. There it is. Thank you. Thank you. See? Fate. It was fate that popped up. There was my favorite Russo moment. Maze says, venue idea. City Field, loser sleeps with the rats. Well, now we're just getting silly now. Would Maven be interested? I don't know. Maybe he'll do a video about it, like he does everything else. Anyway, thank you guys for hanging out with me. I can't get over that. I can't get over that message. Russo is with the clowns where he belongs. Oh, that's the moment of the night right there. I thought Cody Raheem Rhodes was going to be the moment of the night. I think that gets my vote. I'm going to be back with you guys live on Monday night for the Raw post show. Of course, before that, we have episode 950 of the Sound Off. And everybody go wish JD a happy birthday from the Solomonster. It is his birthday. So happy birthday, brother. Of course, we got new TNT coming up next week as well. A lot of good shit. Be well. Stay safe. Have yourselves a warm weekend. It's going to be cold. And I'll see you back here next week. We'll do it all over again. Until then, take care, guys. He's with the clowns where he belongs.